Toni Kroos is the emperor of midfield. Don't believe me? Just look at this.
Marcelo desencadenado, balón para Toni Kroos, la pared con Kovacic, tira Kroos, golazo.
Some midfielders chase the game, adjusting themselves to its speed, its chaos, its emotional swings. And then there are midfielders who impose a rhythm so absolute that the game begins to orbit them instead.
Toni Kroos is a legend.
And Toni Kroos belongs firmly to that second category. Because when Kroos is on the pitch, football doesn't accelerate or collapse randomly, it behaves, moving at a pace that feels deliberate, measured, almost pre-approved, as if every action has already been weighed and accepted before it happens. Modern football romanticizes intensity, pressing, verticality, but Kroos built a career by mastering something far more difficult: inevitability. He didn't dominate matches by overwhelming opponents physically or technically. He dominated them by narrowing the range of what was possible, by quietly eliminating options until only the outcomes he was comfortable with remained. And that kind of control doesn't look aggressive. It looks calm, almost passive, until you realize the opposition is playing on someone else's terms.
If you can defend Vinicius properly, then there's Benzema. If you can defend him as well properly, then there's Valverde or Rodrigo or whoever. If you can defend all three, then Toni Kroos fires the ball from 25 yards in the far corner.
Kroos's intelligence begins with space, not movement. He doesn't roam to find the game. He positions himself where the game must pass through, understanding angles the way architects understand load-bearing walls. His awareness of distance, spacing, and orientation allows him to receive the ball in pockets that feel safe even when surrounded, because his body shape, scanning, and first touch have already neutralized pressure before it arrives. Defenders step toward him late, not because they're slow, but because Kroos has already shifted the problem elsewhere. In possession, his passing is often mischaracterized as simple, when in reality it is selective. Kroos doesn't play the hardest pass, he plays the most damaging one. And damage in football isn't always vertical. Sometimes damage is forcing a block to slide, a winger to retreat, a midfielder to hesitate, and Kroos understood that territorial dominance begins with horizontal authority. By switching play early, accurately, and relentlessly, he stretched defensive shapes until gaps formed naturally, without urgency, without chaos. Tempo, for Kroos, wasn't about speed, it was about emotional regulation.
What is the best player you play against?
Oh, there's a couple. I'm going to have to say Toni Kroos. Just like he's intelligent. He was always like this during the game. I went to press.
He sensed when matches were becoming frantic, when teams were feeding off transitions, and he responded not by matching that energy, but by suffocating it. One extra touch, one lateral pass, one recycle back into structure. Suddenly the opponent's momentum felt awkward, misplaced, and momentum, when denied, turns into frustration. Kroos weaponized that frustration by refusing to engage with it. Defensively, his contribution was intellectual rather than athletic. Kroos didn't cover ground explosively, he covered ideas. He blocked passing lanes with positioning, delayed progress with angle control, and trusted structure rather than duels. His defensive value wasn't in tackles won, but in attacks slowed, redirected, made predictable, because predictability allows teams to recover shape, and shape is the foundation of control. What made Kroos truly imperial was his authority over game states, leading, trailing, under pressure, away from home, late in finals. His behavior didn't change. He didn't chase moments, didn't rush responsibility, didn't hide from it either. He demanded the ball when others felt it burning, and that confidence wasn't arrogance, it was preparation. Kroos played like someone who had already simulated the situation in his head and knew the solution before it arrived. His partnership dynamics elevated everyone around him. Fullbacks pushed higher, knowing switches would arrive. Midfield partners took risks, knowing balance would be restored. Attackers timed runs, knowing service would be precise rather than hopeful. Kroos didn't need to dominate touches to dominate matches, but when games required consolidation, he absorbed volume without distortion, recycling possession until control felt complete. Positionally, he defied modern stereotypes. Not a pure pivot, not a classic 8, not a roaming playmaker, but a fixed reference point, someone the system could anchor itself around. Whether starting deeper or higher, his responsibility remained constant. Govern spacing, dictate rhythm, enforce logic. Systems didn't give Kroos freedom, Kroos gave systems clarity. There was also a quiet brutality to his game. Kroos punished disorganization mercilessly. Miss a press trigger, and he would find the free man. Lose compactness for a second, and he would stretch you. Step late, and the ball was already gone. He didn't humiliate opponents with flair, he exhausted them with correctness, forcing them to chase shadows they could never quite reach. Critics often mistook his lack of mobility for limitation, but that misses the point entirely. Kroos didn't need to move constantly, because his positioning reduced the need to recover. He played football like a game of conservation, minimizing unnecessary actions, maximizing impact per touch, understanding that energy saved is energy controlled. Calling Toni Kroos elegant is accurate but incomplete. Elegance suggests style. Kroos was about authority. He governed matches the way empires govern territory, not through constant conflict, but through stability, order, and the quiet understanding that resistance is futile because the structure is too strong to disrupt. So when you watch Kroos, don't look for drama, acceleration, or highlight chaos. Look for calm. Look for how opponents stop pressing. Look for how attacks slow down, how shapes stretch, how control feels inevitable rather than earned. Because that's where Kroos lived. He didn't conquer midfield with force, he ruled it with certainty. And in an era obsessed with speed and noise, Toni Kroos proved that the highest form of dominance isn't intensity, but command. The kind that makes football obey before it even dares to resist.